Dan, also known as Doc B of Bottlehead. And this is Clark Blumenstein of Blumenstein Orcas, speaker builder extraordinaire. And Clark and I have known each other for quite a few years now. Kind of dropped away from each other for a while and regrouped here just in the last year or so. And Clark has been on a trail of making great sounding speakers since he was in college, and has studied under some really wonderful people and learned a lot. And I think he's taken the things that he's learned from those people and really taken it to a nice level. So today we have Clark's latest, like 3 a.m. this morning latest version of his speakers. We found in the last few years that his current iteration of speakers happens to work really well with our amps. And if you know about audio design and you did the math, it shouldn't add up. And it just happened that it worked out really beautifully because our amps are very low power. They're single-ended tube amps, which is strictly what we make here. And we do that because single-ended amps tend to have a higher level of resolution and more natural sound than other kinds of amplifiers. Other people will argue with me about that till they're blue in the face, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own opinion about that, but that's the way I feel about it. Clark is taking that kind of purity of this very simple circuit that we do in amplifiers, and he's doing it in speakers with single driver speakers that have that same ability to be very, very highly resolving and very, very pure and natural sound. Interesting thing is these little tiny speakers are not incredibly efficient, and generally speaking, with low-powered amps, you need super, super efficient, gigantic speakers. Well, Clark's figured out a way to actually make this work really, really well with a lower-powered amp to create a system that can be in a real-world home instead of a big, huge room like this and sound fabulous. So that's kind of what we're putting together here for everybody to hear. We have this other big system, and actually, with Clark's permission, we may fire that up about 7 o'clock or so if you guys want to stick around and listen to that. This is what we wanted to show everybody today. It's being run by a lot of gear that we manufacture here on the front end. We have tape, which is something that we've been involved with for the last couple of years, actually about 4 years now. I have some partners down in San Francisco who have a studio. We started a business called the Tape Project, and we go out and license original master tapes. We take those tapes, my partner Paul masters them onto a 1-inch wide 2-track tape, and from that tape called a running master, we actually make duplicates right out of that. So it's as close as you guys are ever going to get to being able to hear the original master tape of some really significant recordings. We have Bill Evans' Waltz for Debbie. We have Sonny Rollins' Saxophone Colossus. We have several titles from reference recordings by Keith Johnson, who's probably the greatest living classical recording engineer at this time. We have staple singers. We have Jimmy Smith. We have things that we love is what we put out. We have 28 titles right now. We're hoping to round that out to 30 here pretty soon. So that's something we'll also be playing a little bit today along with this cool vinyl. So this is a interesting tape deck. It's called a Nagra T-Audio Swiss machine. It's somewhat rare. It was actually used a lot in the film and video industry. It wasn't really considered an audio machine. It's nice because relative to studio machines, you may have seen them down in the lobby that are the size of washing machines. It's a little more portable, so this is something I can take to audio shows to use. Mechanically, it's beautiful. It's an exquisite machine. Electronically, unfortunately, the real high-end tape decks were being made in an era where electronics weren't that great. So what we've done is bypass the internal electronics, and we have our own tube playback preamp built into the top of that. We'll see there. So that's what we use to play our Tape Project tapes. We have a similar circuit in this, which is called the Tube Phono. This is a high-end thing that we do on a custom order basis that is kitchen sink into it. Balanced outputs, more refined power supply, all those expensive routine parts if you're a DIYer you look at, like Teflon capacitors and 10-ohm resistors, all that stuff built into this. That's playing with a Hanawa HTC R01 cartridge that I just lucked out and got last week. This is a $5,000 phone cartridge that is up for one of the products of the year in Stereophile magazine. It's really awesome. This is a old Empire 208 turntable. This one's been modified by a friend of mine named Mike Pichetto, who has a company called Analog Engineering. He's put a machined a completely new top for it out of a solid build of aluminum. It's set up for an SME tone arm, fabulous tone arm, and that cartridge. And from there, that comes down into a new prototype of a preamplifier, kind of using as a, if you will, it's called a buffer stage. It kind of just allows us to run a whole lot of different things at once with it. That's coming down to one of our kits called the Stereo More. This is a 3.5 watt per channel amp that uses a 2A3 directly heated triode vacuum tube. Happens to be a killer match with Clark stuff. So that's what we're running today.